Hello, hello.
Hi, Dana. How are you?
Nice, thank you. Good to meet you all here online.
Hello.
Same here. How's the situation there in Romania? All well? The COVID situations and all that?
We are starting to lose and to relax since 1st of June, and we are expecting only positive outcomes. So it's almost finished, the COVID pandemic here in Romania.
Well, that's very great to know. Yes. With your permission, shall we begin?
Sorry?
Yeah, with your permission, shall we begin? Are we good to go?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Yes. Great. All right, students, I welcome you back to this wonderful session. An international guest talk. That is what one thing probably we are trying to connect with best of the best international speakers from the last 1 year of this pandemic. And today I have with me one of my good friends from Romania, Dr. Dana Rad, who will be speaking on a very important topic on the digital well-being. Before I hand over, the presentation to Dana, I would request my Senior Academic Advisor, Dr. Narayan sir, to put forward his introductory remark. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, Dr. Dana Rad, Professor from Romania, and welcome to our webinar today. And also welcome back to all our students and faculty members from Trisha family. We had a wonderful deliberation just 30 minutes back regarding a very important topic, that is, are you ready for corporate challenges? And that was addressed by a learned professor from Indian Institute of Management. And now we have another wonderful topic and wonderful speaker waiting for you. And we are really very, very happy to have you here, madam, for this on this occasion. In fact, 50 years back when I was a student, my teachers used to say about two well-beings, body and mind. That is a healthy body, a healthy mind in a healthy body.
Correct.
Later on, that is physical well-being and mental well-being. Later on, this emotional well-being word was added. Then I heard about social well-being. Then after this, new companies started marketing economic products, financial products, then financial well-being. And now the buzzword is digital well-being. And to know it and to have an international perspective on digital well-being, we have a internationally renowned person here. Our students are really very, very lucky to have it. So thank you, Professor Guru, for making this possible. And we are all looking forward to hear you, Professor, regarding this digital well-being and your opinions on that. Thank you very much for being here, and over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Narayan sir. I would quickly, introduce today's guest to the audience. I'm always a big fan of Romania, so just wanted to try a few Romanian word with you. Cimai Fasi, how are you there? And Suntem Bine, we are all doing well here by the God's grace. Well, students, I take immense pleasure in welcoming Dr. Dana. Dana Rad is an associate professor in the Faculty of Educational Sciences, Psychology and Social Sciences at Aurel Ratio University of Arad from Romania. She is head of Center of Research and Development and Innovations in Psychology. She holds a double specialization in psychology and in automation. She was a visiting professor at Institute in Coimbra, an institute from Portugal, and also at University of Aveiro from Spain, and also a research scientist in more than 20 European funded projects. Amazing. As a direct output of the implementation of such initiative, there has always been a developed career counseling procedures for any type of beneficiaries, training courses, curriculum development, workshops, international conferences in the field of career counseling, digital well-being, fighting against online hate speech, and also analyzing the negative psychological effects of online narratives on your mental health. She is the member of editorial review board of 13 reputed international journals. Her research interests include applied cognitive sciences, organizational psychology, physiologic, dynamic systems, psychoinformatics, digital well-being, theories of change and psychology. She is a co-author of almost 16 plus books and more than 100 international conference and journal research papers. She is also the member of various reputed organizations. Wow. Wow is the only word which I can remember right now. And probably I should thank this technology that we are able to connect with such a wonderful, eminent personalities. In fact, I'm very sorry, Diana, because I've been trying to catch you since last 1 month. She's been highly occupied with so much of events. And finally, I was able to, invite her today, and she has given her consent to join us for just for 1 hour. Just please note she is 2 hours behind. Probably it's 9 o'clock there in Romania. Probably I think it's 9 a.m. in the morning in Romania. Yes. So
Yes.
as I said, we are here for a very important topic on digital well-being. Narayan sir gave a fantastic explanation of different varieties of well-being. And today, I think this is the most important topic that we are all here, and we're proud and privileged to have Dr. Dana with us. I extend a warm welcome to you, Dr. Dana, and we definitely look forward to hear from you. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you so much for having me with you. Thank you, Trisha Educational Group, for selecting me, picking me out of many international speakers that have a lot of experience, a lot of research on the digital well-being. And thank you, professors. Thank you, Professor Guru Prasad, for inviting me. And I'm sorry I could not join earlier, but I am here with you today, and I hope we will have half hour, 40 minutes, wonderful conversation with your students. I appreciate your presence. I can see that you are more than 329 participants now. I am very honored, and thank you so much for being here with me. I will try to share the presentation, and I don't know how you have organized, but if any of you, dear students, want to interrupt and ask a question, or you have something to add, or you want to just say something, I would just love to hear your questions, even if the presentation is on and we did not finish. So if any of you wants to interrupt, please feel free to just stop me and answer questions. I would be more than happy.
Great.
Okay, so first of all, let me tell you, before I will begin my story, my digital well-being story, that the digital realm and the avatars we are all using are very important. And when Professor Guru Prasad presented me the front line of this event, I found a picture of myself that is maybe not as similar to me right now, because it's an old picture. I look there very fancy, so you will see that I'm not that fancy as that picture. So this is a highly my high remark to all of you, that whatever your avatar is on social media and digital platforms, I'm sure that there are a lot of differences between your digital life and your real life. And I will tell you quickly about the projects and get to the point. I will present you some conclusions regarding what are the challenges and opportunities regarding mental health in the view of digital well-being. And in short definition, we define digital well-being, the well-being, the mental and emotional state that technology has over yourself, over your entire being. So you interact with phones, laptops, technology, IoT, everything that's technological. And this interaction gives you well-being or not. And this discussion started back in almost 50 years ago, when everybody asked themselves if artificial intelligence and internet and all the technology will ever hold us back from our humanity evolution. So we will find ourselves 50 years later trying to answer the same question. As far as we can tell you for sure, as organizational psychologists and engineer, because second specialization is engineering for me, there is a great impact. We started with the Erasmus Plus projects and framework to research the topic of cyberbullying. I'm sure you have heard about cyberbullying and everything related to doing harm over the digital platforms. There are different kinds of cyberbullying, and we checked the media and the press and found out horrible cases about young people even committing suicide after being cyberbullied by different peers. Unintended or intended, it's the same, does the same harm. And in most of the cases, young people found themselves in a difficult situation and took time to recover, to fully recover after that incident. And this was in 2019. We had no idea that in 1 year later, the pandemic will come and education and work and everything will move in online. We had no idea that everything that we stated, that going online is not so very good for young generations. Staying only and socializing in the digital world maybe will hinder your development, your psychological development, your well-being. You have to connect with other peers. You have to keep contact. That's a fundamental human need, to stay in contact with your society. And things change. Since we did some research, I will quickly present you some of our findings. And I would just like to for you to know our two projects. The first is Keeping Youth Safe from Cyberbullying, and the second is Hayes Journey. I'm sorry, okay. So these projects we have enrolled with international partners. It's Uludağ University from Bursa, Turkey, Aurel University from Arad, Romania, our university, Center Neuropsychiatric St. Martin from Belgium, from Dave, and then Asceso from Spain, Telde. It's a small island, Gran Canaria, next to Morocco. So it's a very beautiful environment and very interesting people, Spanish people. And the last partner we have been working with, it's Young Folks, an NGO from Riga, the capital of Latvia. So these are the project partners we have started the journey with. We had some of, I will just quickly tell you about some of the objectives. We just wanted to develop a framework for positive impact over the general well-being, emotional, psychological well-being of youth in the European countries. And in most of the cases, we driven all our methodology from non-formal educational settings in fighting against hate speech and cyberbullying. And that is really difficult to do in real life, because, you know, nowadays we have a lot of algorithms looking for fake news in social media platforms. Much of this work is done by robots, not by humans, but a few years ago, there were moderators and administrators that just had to scan all chat and then ban people who just disrespect the other participants and so on. So there are rules we must follow when going into online communities. I will go over. We even addressed some vulnerable youth. For example, in Turkey, our partners work with refugees. In Romania, we work with young people and peers living with intellectual disabilities and cognitive disorders. In Belgium, we had some young adolescents that were in the hospital, hospitalized for eating disorders, personality disorders. They were they have been taken care of in that asylum for people living with anxiety, depression, and you name it, a lot of personality disorders. And in Spain, we targeted the youth with poverty situation, poverty issues. So we tried to reach as many youth as possible. Of course, the focus was on normal youth like yourself, because we are not vulnerable in any case. And we targeted our interventions also on vulnerable youth. We had some great impact. We did some research. We had published 2 handbooks. We even organized an international conference, which is in my background. I'm sorry, I forgot to just take off my background. So it's theories of change in digital well-being, evidence-based across practices, cross disciplines, sorry, where we gather all efforts in raising awareness on digital well-being by tackling theories of change. Theories of change is a group of methodologies, most of them working in non-formal educational settings. I'm sure you have heard of theories of change, and maybe you will also want to implement in your own projects this part of theories of change. Practically what we were doing. This is one of the workshops we have developed 2 years ago in a technological high school. So you will see in the picture adolescents in the 11th and 12th grade. So last year, high school students. They are all on phones, as you can see. This was not pandemic yet. We were presenting cyberbullying situations. And of course, nobody took time to really be attentive to whatever we were presenting. And then we offered them this theater forum approach, where we asked each of them, did you ever encounter cyberbullying situation? And of course, they all said, no, here, no, never happened. Of course, we were sure that bad things happen, and then we told them to split in 7 groups of people and try to share in the small group a situation that they have heard of or even encountered. And then in a small group, they started to open up, and each of them presented a situation. This took us somewhere around 30 minutes. After each of them presented, we then asked them to please select a situation and put it on stage, because this is the theater forum approach, where each participant will assume a role, and they will just play the role to the audience, and us, the audience, could interfere and change the story and ask participants what's in their heads, in their minds, what are they feeling. They all agree to do this, and we had 4 theater forums approach that day. I do not want to talk long about this. I will just want shortly to present a situation that emotionally impacted all of us. So a group of 7 participants just named the blue whale game. I don't know if you have it in English in India. The blue whale. So
it was there for some time.
Yes, that was 2 years or 3 years ago in Romania. So it had remarkable negative effects on young population. And one of the participants had a neighbor that committed suicide, a boy, 12 years old, committed suicide by hanging himself in the attic of the house. And imagine that they have chosen this situation and they have put it on stage. And in this picture, you will see the kid on laptop, and this is the Blue Whale game. These are the parents fighting and not giving attention to the boy. And this is boy's brother that was always on phone, not giving attention to the boy also. I can tell you that after a few minutes, they were role-playing. Participants in the classroom started to tell parents, hey, you mother, pay attention to your kid, look what he's doing. And they were trying even to tell the kids, stop playing that game, just close the laptop, just pick another entertainment for you. Of course, they had to go on with the role play. And up to a point where the aggressor, the boy holding the laptop, told everybody, I cannot do this anymore. I'm sorry, I'm stepping out of the scene. It was so impressive to hear those kids entering in that role that everybody stopped, and some of them even cried because the person who presented this situation really knew that boy who committed suicide. And in the end, we just wanted to make the positive out of this mess situation, and we given them the chance to make a different story at this theater form approach, and people on stage to play according to suggestions coming from the public. So when everybody told mother, hey, pay attention to your kid, the mother just quit everything and went to the boy, and everything changed in the end when the parents and the brother, meaning the family, just took good care of the kid in terms of being there for the kid to pay attention to what he's doing. So this was just an example of what we were doing. In this regard, we come in contact with a lot of sad stories. Believe me, there are many sad stories, untold sad stories that nobody knows about. And by the time they reach psychologists, counselors, school counselors, and parents, this is starting to be PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder syndrome, for the kids going through this kind of negative and emotional negative situations. So we discussed with them in several workshops. We found out a lot of things about youth. And based on this, we did some, I will not stay with the following slides. I will just present you the essence of our research. So we presented the theater forum approach. And as regarding our research, we targeted 500 youth and students coming from those countries I told you about. All our research was done in Google Forms, and we asked them several concepts. I will quickly guide you through some of our conclusions. We found out that there is a dynamic relationship between classmates interaction and online harassment. So we found out that the more connected young people are and the most distant they are, they begin to cyberbully each other without even knowing, just calling names, for example, or picking phones and posting pictures or different things. So the more you know and the less you know, you're more inclined to do something related to cyberbullying. And then we found out that there's also a dynamic relationship between youth posting behavior and perceived parental support. So if as a high school students, I perceive that my parents look after me and I have their support, I won't be posting so many negative things, let's call them negative or socially non-accepted things. And the more I perceive my parents to be close to me, and the less I perceive my parents to be close to me, I won't post. If there's a medium relation, I will post different things and maybe They are not so desirable, socially desirable things I post. Then we found an interesting relationship between constant silence and victim empathy, because in most of the cases, when we look at the cyberbullying situation, we will see that there's a perpetrator, the bully, there's the victim, and then we have a lot of bystanders or witnesses assisting the cyberbullying situation incident, not interfering, not doing anything, just watching. I stay and I watch the mess on the social media platform, and I do not do anything for the victim to help the victim. I can do a lot of things. If I will have a few moments in the end, I will tell you about how can I can help as a bystander. And we were talking about this constant silence because I see the event and I keep quiet. I do not do anything. And this is a reinforcement for the bully, for the perpetrator, because they say, oh, well, all of them watched and did nothing. I assume they just agreed with me. This is the regular situation where you will find that aggressors say in all situations, well, there were 10 people there, nobody stopped me, so I assume they agree. This is the constant silence we wanted to tackle, to know what we can do to get the bystander to be an upstander, to fight for victims' right, to do something. I mean, not to harm anybody, but to stop the situation from unrolling. We were talking also about victim empathy, and we wanted to know what is going on with empathy, because in most of the cases you will see that to fight against cyberbullying and negative aspects, you will just have to feel empathetic towards the victim. And we have found out that it's not such a good idea to go with the empathy concept all the way, because as you probably might know, there's a cognitive empathy and there's an emotional empathy. So I feel the other person's feelings, or I think like the other person's in empathy. And if I raise empathy too much, I might give credentials to the perpetrator, because along with empathy, they will know a lot of intimate things about the victim. So empaths become, some of them, when they argue, when there's something going on, they might say things or post pictures that were not supposed to. Then we were stopping at just for fun online harassment. We found out that there are several thresholds. So if something feels funny to me and I do this to my colleague, some people might not find that just for fun, and they will take it personally, and they will feel very bad about themselves. So there's a thin line in just for fun, where the fun starts and when the hurt starts. Of course, depending on young generation personality and resilience skills. I will quickly go into several conclusions. We were tackling also the ghosting behavior. Ghosting behavior will be something like you are talking with somebody over WhatsApp or whatever you name it, social media platform, messenger chat, and the other person will just stop responding, or will disappear, or will block you, or will come back with a different profile, and so on. So we name this inconsistent relationship ghosting behavior, because in many of the cases, you will find this situation at least once in your lifetime. Girls might fall into the trap of being in love with the boy, and the boy, for example, might do this kind of behavior, or the other way around. So even in a work relationship with your superior, these things can happen, or with your family also, or you can have the ghosting behavior in any situation. We wanted to know, does this ghosting behavior really offend somebody, or where's the threshold? How much ghosting I can accept, and what am I supposed to do for the other person to feel connected to me and not to disconnect when going into conversation. So a lot of talk about this. I will not stay long on this. I will quickly go in several different approach. We even tackled the concept of blue ticks or the scene effect, similar to ghosting. That scene effect you can encounter in any platform, social media platform, in Facebook Messenger, and also on WhatsApp. So how young generation are what are thinking about that scene effect? Does it affect you really or not? Or what can I do to not affect me? So I sent a message and they never responded to. So I sent the message and they never saw it, or they just seen and not a response. So this sometimes a lot of people are hurt about this, and this goes with the relationship between professor and students, because sometimes this happens. You send an email to your professor is too busy, just looks for whatever you are asking and not responding back. And in some cases, students feel very bad about this situation. But everybody must know that the time resource is limited for everybody, and you should go maybe on the email and not on an instant chat for, I don't know, reaching some conclusions on your activities. We then looked in the freedom of speech concept, and we tried to see where is the cyberbullying versus freedom of speech, because if you're allowed to say whatever you want to over the internet, then that might be considered cyberbullying, and you cannot just hinder the right to express yourself over the digital media platforms, but there's a threshold. So where's the freedom of speech limit? Am I allowed to manifest myself, and how much should I go with my speech in order not to offend anybody and not to raise questions about my own personality regarding to what I post or what I write over the social media platforms. We had done several research trying to find where the hate speech is coming from, because all of us are hate speechers. So there are profiles, personal profiles that will never go for hate speech, but there are people who prefer to just express themselves like hate speech. Nowadays, things involved, and we have the meme generation. Everything is going on in memes. So when you want to express something, you will just draw a meme and draw everybody's attention on the meme. It's not considered now a hate speech, but a few years ago. So even now, so if anybody wants to just interfere, if you want to tell me something, because I'm sure that all these things have cultural dimensions also. So something is accepted in Europe and won't be accepted in India or in other parts of the world. And some cultures are more open to this expression and self-expression, and some cultures are more closed. So this is a good aspect. It's not a bad aspect. I will quickly go into the following. So I'm sorry, I did not tell you about those predictors of hate speech. So in most of the cases, we found out that revenge and ignorance. So something bad happened to me, and then I feel compelled to give the same treatment, negative treatment, to people I come in contact with. So something bad happens to me, I will share that bad with the rest of my peers, because I'm frustrated. I have to give away my frustration. And the other pillar of hate speech will be ignorance. ignorance in terms of not being aware of the impact of my words into the others' minds. So my words are like weapons. I can use them like weapons. And if I'm not aware of what my speech is telling the other person, if I'm ignorant, I have no idea that I hurted you. I didn't want to hurt you, but it feels natural to say that. So this will be the second pillar of hate speech. So most of the hate speech doesn't come from people being evil by nature. Let's say that they are evil by nature. They are not. They're just people who got upset and try to give forward that negative baggage of emotional harm to the others. And we were looking in the end, after all these 2 years research, we had more than 20 papers, different topics, but still on negative effects, psychological effects of cyberbullying and hate speech. We came up to the concept of digital well-being, and this was in 2019 in the end. And when we looked over the internet, we found out that, there is digital well-being, but it is an application. So it was not a theory. Google did it, and they started 2 years ago with the application Digital Wellbeing, written well-being without the line. And we copied that well-being. We did not place the line. It's on purpose, just to copy the Google Digital Wellbeing application, but we are going with a theory and try to explain, okay, how can I sustain my digital well-being? I interact with technology. I have a good day today. I feel great. I post a lot of flowers on my Facebook. But tomorrow I might feel a little sad. Something happened to my family member, or I did not pass one exam, or something happened. I'm not feeling okay. Of course, I will try to, people will post sad things, sad stories. And I, together with my colleagues, we want to sustain the positive aspect of digital well-being. So no matter what happens in my life and over the internet, I must sustain my positive connection and not to let my negative aspects of my life, personal life, to interfere with the person whom I am in public. So I have to be prepared to feel only a positive emotion when going into contact with others, because everybody is having a sad story in their life. So I don't know any happy and satisfied people every day. There are bad days for everybody. So I must be careful in those bad days to take care of my well-being, of my mental well-being, and to take care of myself, I as a person, not to let myself go into the negative spiral of bad thoughts, because that is going to bring me only negative things, will open the door to negative things in my life. This was our first book release in our university, and we have our rector with us, Professor Ramona Lile, who always connected. This is our team, and she already she supported us in all endeavors we want to just jump in, and she was very proud that we have published that book on assessing cyberbullying perceptions. It's on ResearchGate, so if you're interested, you can just Google Dana Rad and cyberbullying, and you will see a lot of our works. In the end, in my last minutes, I'm sorry that this maybe took me a little more time than I expected. I just want to present you our last theoretical framework. This is more for like psychological students, but in my opinion, all students must know about what am I supposed to do with my behavior and how am I supposed to change my behavior, because I see that things are not going on good for myself. What can I do? I cannot tell to people, there's nobody available. I don't have a psychologist. I don't have anybody to talk to. What can I do by myself? And we took the inspiration from chaos theory. I will not go into this. We were just looking at emergent behavior. So a lot of behaviors start to die, let's call them die, and new behaviors start to emerge. We see the digital well-being also an emerging phenomenon. So there's a lot of factors when you talk about digital well-being and well-being in general. It's not just a concept like in the air. There are other factors that interfere here. And the most important thing, I will not just go in this, I will just quickly tell you the main part, the most important part. There's interesting research going on nowadays, and I quoted here some of our colleagues and another paper, all of them in 2020, where we will look at mental disorders like PTSD, that would be post-traumatic stress syndrome, depressive symptomatology, anxiety, like simply responses to adversity rather than chemical imbalances. So this is an important aspect when you are telling to yourself that I am anxious or I am depressed. The main thing of this theory is that you are not depressed or you are not anxious. You just react like a depressed person or like an anxious person because this is the environment and this we are supposed to respond to. And being targeted in an immense, vast ocean of information and things, you just imagine it was the statistical probability for a negative event to happen. It's highly exponential, like in the real world. There won't be people shouting at you in the street if you go to buy a bread or if you go to buy a yogurt. Like if you go to Facebook and look into some groups where people change information. So we also consider that some of the mental disorders are not seen as pathological anymore. So you are supposed to control that negative effect because we are all anxious and we all feel bad about this pandemic situation and going into isolation and not communicating and being just on digital devices to look for information, look for rules, what am I supposed to do, where can I go? So it's a constant stress, let's call it, social stress. And of course, we might manifest some disorders, let's call them disorders like this. Our message is to just take care of your emotional state because these are natural feelings you will feel all your life. And you have to take care to just do something when you see that you are feeling in a way that you don't want to. We have discussed about a lot of interventions, and now these days psychologists are making a lot of digital interventions. So I'm not going to talk to a psychologist. I will go into a chat platform and talk to somebody, but just in the digital. I will never meet my therapist ever in my life, just digital. And how can that intervention be sustainable for myself? And I will just present you this model where we see the digital well-being as an emergent feature. So a lot of factors coming up to form my well-being. And regarding to my behavior and an intervention supposed to lower or to mitigate the negative effects of anxiety and depression, we see them as a static digital emergent property and dynamic digital emergent property. And of course, the behavior will be dynamical. In research, we have never met a linear or non-emergent behavior as far as psychologists say. Even intelligence is an emergent property of human beings. And then when I design the intervention, I will go for anticipated emergent behavior and non-anticipated digital behavior. As I told you, people react differently into different settings. So if I create a group, a WhatsApp group, and I send flowers every morning and coffees and stuff like this, maybe a lot of people will say, okay, I'm not into this and I don't want to see this anymore and just leave. On the other hand, there are people who say, oh, so nice, so great that somebody's thinking of myself and sending me flowers and coffee. So this is something like, sometimes I can anticipate, sometimes I won't. And if I go further with both behaviors, there's the digital, desirable digital behavior. I want to get rid of my anxiety. Okay, this is the desirable effect. I got rid. I'm not anxious anymore. I don't feel anxiety anymore. And of course, there's the undesirable behavior. And we call this misbehavior. Because it's still a behavior we first seen, because we were thinking like, I for sure, when I do something in an intervention, I will create also negative effects. And we call this misbehavior. And in the following projects we are writing nowadays, we will look at the misbehavior and how can I deal with that misbehavior, because it's again an emergent thing, and we have to deal with this behavior in a chaotic order, like the theory itself. So I will not go into conclusions. This was something I wanted to tell you about. I hope that I was not too psychological. I intended to address this to all students, and I hope I will be able to respond to your questions. I'm here just, thank you very much for your time and attention.
Great, Dr. Dana. It is amazing as always to listen to you. Well, I would request the students to post their questions, if any, on the usage of technology, the digital well-being and all that to me. In personally, the chat box, I can then take it up to the speaker. We have just 8 to 10 minutes left because I respect her schedule. She's quite busy with her schedule, so I don't want to delay for some reason. Before I get the question from students, just want to say you, while I was in Slovakia in 2017, I had an opportunity to visit Romania, but then at the end moment, the plan got cancelled, for some reasons. But then that is a beautiful country which is in my list always. I would definitely love to visit that. I'm also, a big fan of some Romanian movies. It might have heard Philanthropica, Beyond the Hills. These are some of the amazing movies that I've seen in Romania. Well, I will pose a question and then I wait for some students to ask this question. Now, technological transformation is good to a greater extent, but many of us don't know the dark side of it. I was really happy when you were able to present your theories with a lot of facts and figures, right? Which, according to you, in your experience, Dr. Dana, where you feel there's a lot of victims, from which country do you feel? The people of who have been affected from cyberbullying or anything like that, cyber abuse. Which country tops the list as of now? Any idea?
Yes, I can tell you for sure that in all countries is the same, almost the same, with a few parentheses. In some countries, there are regulations regarding what happens to the perpetrator, and in some countries, there are not. And we found out that in the countries that these things are not regulated, you will find more hate speech, because people just do it. Nothing happens. Okay, I'll just go on because I'm having fun. But this is not like a hard negative effect. But in some of the cases, we found out that in Eastern Europe, you will find more cyberbullying incidents than in Western Europe. For example, in Romania and Turkey, people encountered more cyberbullying and did not consider it bad. As for in Spain and Western countries, they encountered less cyberbullying online, but considered it heavier. Oh, what happened? For example, the same event has different shades of understanding in different countries. And in Eastern European countries like Romania, people got used to this, let's call it everyday interaction, cyberbullying and cynicism and sarcasm in digital platforms. And people do not feel offended that much like in Spain, for example. But this is just looking at the 5 countries we were addressing. So it's a phenomenon that goes on since you make yourself an account until you close your account. So you will never escape this kind of negative phenomenon.
Well, I'm sorry to say, India has also been witnessing over the recent past a lot of cases on the cyber crimes and cyber abuse, cyberbullying. This is one question from my student. What is the general reaction this victim has? Suicidal is one of the symptoms that you said. But anything else that you observe that which is not going to that extent of suicide? What generally the observations you find in them, the one who are victim of it?
So I hope I understood it correctly. What is the reaction of the victim?
Yes.
In different settings, cultural settings. Okay, so yes, it's a very good question. Thank you. It's again related to the regulation in each country. And as a plus, I can tell you for Romania that since 2019 and 20, sorry, we have a law that is regulating bullying and cyberbullying in schools. And when they were giving the law into the public system, they took our project as example, and we had some contribution in that law on how to stop and how to prevent cyberbullying in educational settings, because the Ministry of Education is regarding only the educational settings, and cyberbullying happening in schools or bullying happening in schools. So since 2020, we have the law and everything is regulated and everybody knows what happens when you're doing these kind of things, and the victim knows what to do. So they have a green number they can call, or they can address their counselor, school counselor anytime. And in most of the cases, these two things are, we urge them to do these two things. Just call that number and say your story, your school counselor, and ask for help, because this is something to go in trial. In Romania, you go in trial for cyberbullying in educational settings.
Okay. Well, do you think parents also play a very important role in this? Is one of the questions from the students.
Yes, of course. Parents are the main connection between the child, the kid, the teenager, the adolescent, and the rest of the society. So parents are supposed to be close and open to their kids and tell them that whenever they are feeling bad or they are having a problem, just contact me. I will help you unconditionally because you are my kid. So no matter what you do, you're supposed to go and tell your parent. This is the thing we are trying to tell everybody. And we have to talk with parents also to accept their kids' mistake, because there's not something so bad like your kid messed up and did something. Just say sorry and move on and try to never do that again. But there's a dynamic situation. We also tell parents, we had workshops with parents also, but physical workshops. In that situation, we had a workshop with parents who adopted a kid, and most of their kids got cyberbullied from other peers, and they were asking ourselves, what am I supposed to do? I have an adopted kid, everybody is making fun, how am I supposed to deal with this situation? So we had thematic workshops, very interesting topics. We were talking with parents.
I think, as you rightly said, it's very important to join hands with the parents as well to, protect our kids from all these unwanted events. Do you have any whistleblowing policies in Romania wherein all these things can be handled well in advance? Something like preventive measures. Like, for example, you also said there are a lot of spectators. Sometimes those spectators are silent spectators. So it's absolutely waste if you be a silent spectator until unless you don't raise the voice. So I would like to know what whistleblowing policy the Romania has so that we can avoid these situations.
Yes, of course. The main regulations are the netiquette, I will quote, the netiquette, how am I supposed to behave in educational settings? We were just looking at educational settings, but in most of the cases, in all regulations, they were stated like if there is a group of people, you as an administrator would have to control whatever is happening in your group. And I can give you a real example of what happened with Donald Trump when his account was suspended. And this was everybody's doing, trying to contact the administrator or the moderator that is obliged to make rules of the group, and everybody should obey those rules. If people don't behave, digitally behave, they will just be excluded. So this is unfortunately the thing going on, at least in Romania. Just have to follow the rules. We did not get to that consciousness that we don't need the rules. We just know what to do and just follow this because this is logical. So we still need regulations. And in most of educational settings, you will find these regulations. In young generations, they need something like when you go into a meeting, just keep your microphone mute, for example, or don't share, don't spam, don't troll, don't do this, don't do that. In educational settings, you still need to, because they think that it's fun. And just as I told you with the just for fun online harassment, these things goes on in all settings.
I think we should all include one subject called as digital, wherein we teach the students all these importance of being well-behaved and well-mannered in the digital platforms. With your permission, I will take the last question because I found this question very interesting. Listen, there are some kids who will never express. Even if you go for a deep, in-depth counseling, they will never accept to share anything. How do you handle such kids? I'm very sure you have come across such kids while you are counseling as well.
Yes, it's a really interesting topic. And as a psychologist, we can tell you that, of course, those cases don't come to us and we don't know about what's going on, but you will find these cases going in the worst case scenario. In most of the cases, they harm themselves. They will just harm themselves physically and emotionally. And in this situation, it's the person or the parent, mainly mother or father or sisters, brothers, have to become aware of the situation and just get help for the family member they see that is suffering. So you cannot take for counseling or for psychologists or psychiatrists. Family has to take the role in and see what's going on. He's not behaving right. She's not behaving right. Something is going on. I have to help and to act. If you see your family member being like this, just go and talk and make the person, because in family you can say anything, your family, just make him talk, because otherwise the person will go into a negativity spiral and will just begin to harm themselves, unfortunately.
Yes. So amazing to listen to you. So what is your final message to my students of Trisha Adana? How students should join hands together and fight this social evil today? I will definitely call this as an evil. What do you suggest my students? How should they fight against the cyberbullying, cyber crimes and all
that? First of all, I would tell you to go into the digital platforms and educational settings and socialization as much as you can, and never think about yourself that you are, I don't know, less valuable than your other peers. Just go into discussions, go into social groups that are on digital platforms, and try to obey the rules as much as possible. And if you see somebody that is not behaving properly, just address the moderator or the administrator to take care of that kid. Don't go directly to, hey, stop and don't write or exclude. just go to the moderator and ask for help. Okay, this is not behaving, writing, I don't know, things or doing harm here. Just please attention. Because when somebody messes up, they just mess up from fun. They are not evil personalities. And you have to first tell the person, hey, you're not supposed to do this, just stop. And if the person keeps doing it, then you are allowed to exclude. Something like we are doing this also in our educational setting. So not excluding from start, no, but taking steps, and when the behavior doesn't stop, we just exclude.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Dana. On behalf of the management, my teaching faculties, and all my students out there, I extend a very heartfelt thanks to you. I know you have a real tight schedule, and I was behind you for the last 1 month, and I'm so happy. Finally, we were able to connect, and finally, you were able to interact with all my students. I would definitely look forward to have you one day in my campus. If at all you have planned any visit to India, do let me know. We shall make all arrangements to bring you here in our campus. It would be my pleasure to host you, Dana.
Thank you so much. I already visited India and I was impressed, but for sure I will be back as soon as this pandemic situation is over, and we will be able to travel. Yes, so it will be my pleasure.
Great. Thank you so much for this wonderful interaction, and I wish a great day ahead, and I also wish to have a healthy life, and your dedication to this very noble cause. Keep doing it, and we as citizens of India and from across the world, we are with you on this most important noble dedication to the society. Hats off to you. Please take our appreciation from the Trisha Group of Institutions for the amazing work that you're doing. Thank you so much, students, for your timely, presence, for your very good interactions here, and thank you so much, Dr. Narayan sir, for being present in the both the sessions. I thank all my faculties from all our locations who were here for this session. And finally, once again, thank you, Dana. It was really nice interacting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.